Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Action-packed 3-hour program lined up today, including Chris Bennett, sportsbook director here at Circa, on the show in 30 minutes. We'll go over most wins in baseball in the month of July with him. Nigel Seeley, best bets in Wimbledon for tomorrow, and also maybe a future or two. Doug Kazarian on the WNBA and NBA free agency beginning a little bit later on tonight. And VSiN host Matt Brown on the NFL betting guide, which drops tomorrow. How was vacation, pal?
Good. Good to see you, champ.
Yeah.
It was excellent. Had a lot of fun.
Good to hear.
Good to be back. I met Ozzy, TMI, the Genuine Article, and lived up to the hype. Hell of a guy. The stories. Remember, he's the guy that cast that crazy ticket on golf. And then we had him on the air. And a little TMI, but it was a good time. What if I told you he was dating the daughter of a billionaire owner, sports team, and he said, nah, not working out for me. She said, either we get married, you move in, or it's over. Billionaire.
Well, I would need to know many more details than just that.
Yeah, really? Okay.
Yeah.
But I give him a lot of credit.
Tells me that something's made. I'm not going to make a comment. I'm not going to, because I don't know who the billionaire owner is. I don't know who's listening, so I know nothing about the story. But I'm going to say that knowing nothing more than what you just told me, he probably has a reason why.
Okay.
Or multiple reasons why.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So, big trade. We'll get into NBA free agency, by the way, coming up in about 10, 15 minutes here. And the news last night with LeBron and this Malik Beasley story, again, under investigation for a gambling-related incident or incidents in his playing days, and he's still in the NBA. That's coming up here in a little bit. But I would say that this is a big trade in terms of the names today, Paulie, in the National Football League, and it's very rare that you get a deal like this, especially considering that the calendar is flipping to July tomorrow. But it is Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith from Miami and a pick to Pittsburgh in exchange for safety Minkah Fitzpatrick, and also they're going to be getting a pick. There is nothing really positive I can say about this deal. The only thing would be negative, and that's from the Miami standpoint. And everybody making the case since the schedule came out, and maybe even before that this is the year to bet the under on everything with Miami.
Yeah, very popular.
And then also, did you know this is popular as well? Mike McDaniel, first coach fired. People have been messaging me like crazy over the last 10 days, telling me, get on this while it's still hot.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Not bad. I hate the trade from Miami. Hate it. Love Jonnu Smith. You know, when Tua was out and Hill was banged up, he was a target machine.
He was better than Tyreek Hill.
Yes, he was awesome. Why would you trade this guy? It's great from Pittsburgh's standpoint. You know, Miami just gave Ramsey $4 million as well, so Pittsburgh's paying the bulk of the contract coming up this year. So you add Ramsey, you get Metcalf, you get Rodgers, you get Jonnu Smith. You can run the ball, 2 tight end set, which Rodgers wants to do anyways. I love the Steelers week 1 against the Jets, lane 3. And I hate what Miami's doing here. Interesting that Fitzpatrick goes to Miami, as he wanted out and didn't like what they were doing when it was Flores, when he was the coach. But I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs because it's such a tough division. But I love it from Pittsburgh's standpoint and what this can look like offensively now that you added another weapon for Rodgers. And I think they were kind of, you know, Rodgers was bad with the Jets, but I didn't think you were going to get much from the Fields-Wilson tandem. But I think they can have a good offense this year, and it's a great trade for Pittsburgh. The other question is what's going on with the T.J. Watt stuff now?
Right.
That you're hearing about offers, and the last time we saw him on Instagram, he was flashing the peace sign.
Right. Well, the Steelers are pretty dead set on saying this outright anyway, and that is they want him to remain in a Pittsburgh jersey for the rest of his career. But I think they probably have to say that. But, I mean, if the right deal is out there, is that something that they're going to actually consider, according to some of these reports or whatever? And if you go based on his IG, maybe that would be. I mean, if a team comes calling with a first-round pick and maybe something else for T.J. Watt, that is something I think that you absolutely have to consider if you're Pittsburgh.
Yeah, yes, and I think it's serious. I mean, last year of a deal, teams are thinking about offers and going to make the call to Pittsburgh. And I also think it's a big deal, whether it's a negotiating tactic or whatever, that he puts that on social media that, peace sign, I'm out of here. That's it.
So it's only negative for me, for Miami. They somehow got worse going into the season. And I think there's a path there. Like, if you're playing exactas, the Bills are, I mean, they have to be just such the number one team probably to win their division in all of football. Because the gap between Buffalo now and those other three teams got even bigger. I mean, nothing that Miami could have done to close the gap anyway.
Yeah.
But there isn't. Look at this. Look at the win totals right now on the season. There isn't a single team within 4 is the closest, right? The Patriots are at 8.5. The Bills are 12.5. They are the 260s light to win the division. They should be like $4.50 or $5 in my opinion to win this thing.
Yep.
But if you play exactas, I would probably at this point only look at playing Bills 1 and the Patriots 2. Are the Dolphins better than the Patriots today? Were they before this trade?
I think so. I think the hype train with the Patriots is out of control. Vrabel 6-1, Coach of the Year? Come on. That's getting a little carried away here, what we're doing. Also, same with Ben Johnson, who's a similar price. But I understand, though, why people are so down on Miami. The Patriots will be better, and you think the Jets will be a little bit better, too. But the thing that kills McDaniel is how bad they were when Tua got hurt.
No.
They were horrific. Mm-hmm. They couldn't get first downs. They led 10-0 against Indy and lost that game like 13-10 or whatever it was, and then beat the Browns as DTR was in there and kept turning the ball over. They were a mess without Tua.
I think this cements the idea that Buffalo's chances of getting the 1 seed in either conference, right?
That's
the team.
Yeah, very popular in the guide too. Yeah.
And also
plus 350 in that range.
Sure, and maybe if you want to look at the 1 seed overall, the most wins in football, any of that stuff, and if you want to play Super Bowl exactas, their path to me sets up just beautifully more than any other team in the AFC. And quite frankly, I don't even think it's that close. Mm-hmm. And here's why it doesn't really do much for me with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I have them as a fringe playoff team anyway. So grabbing them at like plus money to make the playoffs was a thought that I had before the season was going to start at this point, but I'm not certainly going to rush out. They're not the best team in that division. They're not the best team in the conference. I'm not making a bet on them to win the AFC. I'm not going to recommend you go out there and bet them to win the Super Bowl either. And here's something that is a little, I guess, under the radar or not talked about enough with Aaron Rodgers' career. He had, I thought, some really solid tight ends in his time with Green Bay, and they basically never had that great of a season. Jermichael Finley, now he was a little bit of a head case. That came to fruition, I think, after he left Green Bay. But his 3 best years with Rodgers, in his prime, 55 for 676 yards and 5 touchdowns. He had 48 for 703 and 7 touchdowns. And he had 61 for 667 and a touchdown. Those are okay, but nothing like, man, Jonnu Smith's going to go to Pittsburgh and have 1,000 yards. I would never buy into that because it's really never happened with a tight end with Aaron Rodgers. The best year that a tight end ever had was the one a couple years ago by Robert Tonyan. He had 59 for 586 yards and 11 touchdowns. Jimmy Graham in 2 years had 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. That was it. So it never really sparked. Like, this was never really the position to make it work with Aaron Rodgers, and I could never. It happened like over and over and over again. I'm like, why doesn't that work with the tight end that they have there in Green Bay? It just didn't. So I'm not going to buy in now into like year number 18 with Rodgers that suddenly Jonnu Smith is going to get a great target for him, which is a little unfortunate.
Okay, but I think he'll have a good year, though, because of the offensive line and what they didn't have with the Jets to be able to protect them up front and get the running game going, too. So, and I can't believe Miami's just going to trade the guy as well to give up a weapon like that. And you don't know where...
He's a throw-in. You don't have to do that.
Yes, I know. And you don't know where Hill's head's at either, day to day.
Yep.
So... Yeah, again, very popular with the Sharps and very popular in the guide as well, the anti-Miami stuff guide out tomorrow. Can't wait.
Were you shopping at all on vacation, looking for different bets to make in the NFL? What'd you pick up from the guide? What did you do?
I took a little 12-1 49ers best record and 6-1 1 seed. That's at William Hill. 9-3 the last 12 against the Rams. Lost 6 one-score games last year. Easiest schedule in the league. Special teams were a disaster last year. Cost them several games, plus all the injuries that they had. And if I can get Purdy back to almost winning the MVP like he played 2 years ago before the Monday night debacle against Baltimore, with that schedule and the fact you have getting everyone back and that the one-score games are going to flip and you can't get any worse on special teams, Yvonne Coble was making the case, too, for this as well. But I think 1 seed is worth a look. Eagles have a tough schedule. I like Detroit under. How difficult their schedule is. I think they play 6 teams that made the playoffs on the road. It could be more than that. It was outrageous.
Yeah.
So anti-Detroit, big on San Francisco bouncing back. Love the Rams, but then again, Shanahan owns the Rams. So I did some futures on the 49ers. I think they bounce back.
McCaffrey's 29 years old. I'm wondering what he's going to look like, too, this year.
Yeah.
Right? Because everything that you just said makes a lot of sense. Their schedule is so easy, Paulie, that if they can stay healthy, but there's something about this team where they can rarely, if ever, stay healthy. It's been going on for like 5 years the way it seems. And I think he has to be at the very top of the list. Like, I certainly, if he plays 15 games this year, McCaffrey will probably be in the mix to win something like Offensive Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. But will he? What if he only plays 9 games?
I know. That's fair.
I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm getting my wide receivers back. I know you like Pearsall.
I love Pearsall.
The weapons are there. They just have to survive these injuries, and that luck has to go their way. But the big takeaway, though, is they can't win 11 games. The schedule's a joke. It's a joke.
It's the exact opposite of last year.
Correct.
Where I thought it was probably the most difficult for any team in the league, and now this year it's by far and away, going into it anyway, the easiest schedule.
So I see the Niners winning at least 11, and I can't get there anyway, anyhow, with Detroit, with what they have to go through that gauntlet, and you lose both coordinators.
It's very difficult. Yep. All right, let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We will get into Malik Beasley, the latest player to be under investigation for gambling-related irregularities, and free agency begins already tonight.
Let's go.
The biggest newsbreaker in the league has a strong opinion on what to expect tonight.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
There was a big-time rumor floating around in the NHL over the weekend, and that was the potential of Mitch Marner getting traded from the Toronto Maple Leafs to the Vegas Golden Knights. That is no longer a rumor. It is a done deal, according to reports. Marner has, in fact, been traded out here to Las Vegas. He is going to get 8 years at $12 million per, according to Elliot Friedman. I do not have the details on what Toronto got in return. Are you seeing that as of right now?
I do not know.
This news just broke in the last few minutes.
Golden Knights plus 950.
I grabbed them 10-1.
All right, good job.
So I would say this right now. If you think they're good enough and you just want to grab a number right now, you can find 10-1. Caesars has it. You can find them at plus 525 to win the West. Other books are as low as 7-1 on the Golden Knights next year.
Yep. You could have grabbed Florida 10-1 down the street. I couldn't believe that price. Ekblad stays. Bennett stays. There's 6-1 at DraftKings. As always, shop around. Bouchard stays with Edmonton. We'll find out what happens to McDavid. But getting a good price on the Knights, that's a huge acquisition. Toronto is 16-1. I don't go crazy if I'm Toronto, though. I mean, again, I think I win that series until Bennett elbows Stolars in the head and knocks him out of the series.
I don't disagree.
I'm up 2-0, and then I'm up 3-1 in the middle of Game 3, which I blow that lead and lose in overtime. So I was right there. They won the Stanley Cup. Certainly had a better series and showing than what Edmonton did. So I don't go crazy if I'm Toronto and run it back. But Marner's been public enemy number 1 there for a long time. So, but good move for the Knights, and they always reload. How about Gulletson going back to Dallas? DeBoer gets fired. Gulletson was the coach, I think, 12 years ago, and he was an assistant with the Oilers, so they bring him back, something Steinbrenner would do.
Are you surprised by this? That felt like, I'm like...
the firing him or
no, bringing him
back?
Yeah, Gully coming back.
Right. Not a big name, and certainly he jumps around, but DeBoer's a winner. He'll take you to the conference finals.
He'll get you there.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
And win a Game 7 for you, too.
FanDuel still has 10-1 on the Golden Knights. And this is going to be like a local, regional versus national thing. DraftKings says plus 950. So outside of Las Vegas, you can still find like 10-1. Caesars is also here in town. But a lot of the local books here have already moved down to like plus 850, plus 750. I'm seeing again as low as 7-1 on Vegas to win it all next year. They're loaded. Great move for them. There's also Marchand closing in on a 6-year extension to stay in Florida.
Come on.
Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. Damn.
So what are they right now, actually? What's the latest number on them?
Well, I'm seeing 6 at DraftKings, but I mean, Westgate had 10 a couple weeks ago down the street. I'm sure that got gobbled
They're
up.
at 8.
Okay.
8 still not.
Will Hill here.
8 doesn't feel like it's awful, does it?
Until someone can beat these guys. I mean, it's just 3 straight trips to the Cup.
I know.
And then you bring most of these guys back.
And
Absolutely.
you saw what they did against Edmonton, I mean, overall in that series. I know Mike Palm's going to be disappointed. He thought Gibson was going to get dealt to the Oilers. That did not happen.
Oh.
The goaltender who was like awesome last year got traded to Detroit.
Yeah, that was a bizarre
yesterday.
Trade. What do you think of the Kings? I mean, they blew the series against Edmonton.
Well,
who knows what would have happened?
But then, how far did they go after that? I'll tell you the team that I would have been scared to death of last year, and I think, I can say this, can't prove it, maybe would have been a better matchup and played Florida and given Colorado. Colorado blew the series against Dallas.
Absolutely, 100%. That was embarrassing.
Yeah.
All those injuries that Dallas had, you obliterate them in game 1. Kings are 20-1 at DraftKings. The way Kemper played, how good he was at home, you blow that series, they pin it on the coach. I think they could have made a deep run.
Well, this is fun. So there's one future locked in. Paul, who knows, in the next 40 minutes, we might be adding more bets in the NBA.
I hope something happens.
When it starts there.
Yep. Well, I would love to see a Giannis trade, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either.
How do you trade him now after what's happened with the landscape in the East, though? That's the other thing. Even though with Lillard out, and we'll see if you can add a piece, but I don't want to entirely write off Indiana, but these are major blows.
Oh, I know.
Tatum likely out for the year. Halliburton definitely out for the year. And it's, what happens? Can you buy in with the Sixers? I can't get there. Do you believe in Orlando? I still think Cleveland's underrated. And then we're really getting carried away with what they did to the Rockets, but more on that coming up.
Mike Palm said that last week when you were out. He goes, basically, why is everybody making a case for every team in the East not named Cleveland?
Cleveland has to have better odds than Houston.
They have
to.
Yes.
At his the Knicks still don't even have a coach. That's a gong show.
Oh, no kidding.
What's going on? But Cleveland now, you're going to lose Jerome, but you keep Merrill. I like the acquisition of Lonzo Ball.
Don't hate it.
Garland's going to be healthy, we think. They won 64 games. They just ran into a hot Indiana team, and they also had 3 guys injured
That's exactly
at the
right.
wrong time.
Sure.
So they have a good coach. To me, Cleveland has to be the second choice to win the title and a bigger size favorite than what they are to win the East.
Give me the biggest name, maybe tonight, because again, Shams on ESPN said that, we're going to get some big-time deals done today. The biggest name, other than Giannis Antetokounmpo, that could be on the move tonight. I have one guy in mind, and I would not be shocked at all if he gets dealt tonight. It's going to be Jaylen Brown, isn't it?
Whoa, come on. I don't think they trade him.
You don't think so?
You think they trade him?
Oh, I will not be surprised for 2 seconds if he gets dealt tonight.
Well, I will say this. Brad Stevens is a genius, what he was able to do and unload that salary and what they got back.
To get Anthony Simons for Jrue Holiday?
Yes.
It's an incredible deal for Boston.
Yeah. Bang, bang, Niang coming in. Not so much that he's a good fit with what you want to do and shoot threes. He's not a star, but he can knock down wide open threes, and Boston takes the most. But you get off that horrendous. We still don't have an explanation on what happened. Mysterious illness. You have the best doctors in the world. This guy can't play in the playoffs with a mysterious illness.
Oh, yeah.
So you unload the Porzingis contract and get him out of there?
You know what they're going to potentially look like in 2 years? They could be a machine again with some of these moves that he's setting them up with.
Yeah. I don't think that happens, especially with Durant going to Houston, but... All right, I like where your head's at, but I don't. I think Shams is kind of selling. Hey, watch our preview, our show tonight, and free agency starts in an hour, and it's going to be madness. I don't know if that's going to be the case.
Well, okay, so here's a team that it's in the West. Nobody has mentioned them, and I think that might be kind of a mistake because of how aggressive they've been now for like 10 years. Are you going to be surprised if Golden State makes a big move today?
No.
I think you kind of have to expect that.
Yeah. Can you do something there with Kuminga and make a move with that, right?
I think there's got to be some sort of a sign and trade, obviously.
Yeah.
That would make some sense, right? Mm-hmm. To get it going there. But second apron be damned for them. They've been super aggressive in adding big contracts, and you got to take them seriously, I think.
Well, maybe something happens with Ayton tonight, too. And
he's 4-1 to Golden State, to go to Golden State. I don't see that happening.
Okay. How about, would you rather have Ayton or Lopez if you're a Laker fan?
I'd rather have Ayton.
Really?
I don't think Lopez has much left in the tank.
Yeah.
He had a great run in Milwaukee. a great run for several years, but he is getting up there, man. Now, and when you think about this, though, Ayton also was in that same draft as Luka. That's coming up on, what, a decade ago? Was it 2018?
Uh-huh.
So not quite a decade, but he's been in the league for longer than you think.
Well, I don't think it sounds like Denver isn't doing anything either. They are just going to waste this and blow his prime. What's going to happen? I will say this, and this has been rumored. Bobby Marks had this ESPN. He wants Houston to go grab Finney Smith. That'd be a hell of a move. Number one, you take him away from the Lakers, and then you add another piece to your deep team and the depth that you have.
Sure.
You know, I'll talk to Doug Kazarian coming up. Can the Lakers keep Finney Smith and get a center not named Ayton?
But Lopez?
Could they do that? I don't know if they can do that. I think they have to choose. I could be wrong on that though.
Well,
but
Ayton
that's enormous if they could do.
What if Ayton really takes like a pay cut to go there?
I think he will.
Yeah,
and that's why I know that. I know
super team friendly.
They can get Ayton and Finney. I want to know if they can't. Can they keep Finney, redo his deal, and then get another center not named Ayton? That I don't know. $500 try from GBank, First Bet, and VSiN. All you need to do is open a GBank Visa Signature credit card, deposit and play through $1,000 at First Bet in the first 90 days. That triggers the $500 try. $200 in cashback rewards on your GBank Visa Signature credit card. First Bet gives you a $100 deposit match. We complete it with a free VSiN Pro subscription through August 31st. $200 value, and the NFL betting guide comes out tomorrow. The $500 trifecta from GBank, First Bet, and VSiN. Head to VSiN.com/GBank. VSiN.com/GBank. One-time promotion, limited to customers opening a new account. Apply today. Terms and conditions apply.
What if Shams is right, though? And it's not just a sell job. Hey, make sure you watch tonight coming up.
No, I love it. That'd be great. Fireworks, and then all the trades we've had already be phenomenal. And hopefully there'll be a surprise, too.
Maybe it's going to be the Kings getting involved, too.
Uh-huh.
DeRozan could be on the move. They're not going to pick up, Levine after this year.
Yeah.
They can make multiple moves, I think. A team like that, I think, could those guys have an impact on a team that's, close to winning a championship? Sure they can. More with this as Doug Kazarian joins the program coming up next. What does he have his eyes on for tonight? Biggest name that he thinks could be on the move and any futures that he's targeting in the WNBA here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We continue talking NBA. Free agency begins at the top of the hour. Doug Kazarian joins the program here in studio as we're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino, the Doug Kazarian Sports Network now on YouTube. The show has launched. Good to see you again today, pal. How are you?
Doing well, trying to figure out this new world of YouTube, right? I am still a guy who has 6 cable boxes in my house, which I think I need to get rid of some of those and just go to YouTube TV. I have YouTube TV.
Is that accurate? You still have 6?
I had 8 when I was in Connecticut.
Oh, God.
How many remotes?
The same amount, yeah.
Oh,
and
man.
a TV remote for everyone as well.
Oh, come on.
I got stickers on each remote to know which one it is, left, right,
That
top.
sounds like a nightmare.
It can be. I got a nice remote caddy as well,
Yeah, right.
case.
You never mix them up, I'm guessing?
No, because they have stickers. So
No, I know.
I
but
learned
yeah.
the hard way. I wrote each top left TL or something, but then it's like, well, then I have to read each thing. So I put the sticker on the flat spot which
Where it's
TV
gonna
it
be.
is, so you can just see the white sticker. And
It's like the memory game.
Yes.
There you go.
Smart guy.
Okay.
Went to Brown, baby. There you go.
Sure. So we were just talking about this before you joined the show here. Any chance Giannis gets dealt today? If not, the biggest name beneath him that would go.
Well, look, you can't rule anything out after the Luka deal, right?
Right,
That came out of nowhere. And I just think Giannis has to first request it. All the reporting is that he has not. I think the Bobby Portis signing is a tip of the cap to him, appease him. I still think he's in the East, and with all these trades, with the superstars and whatnot, there's going to be talent coming back. I mean, this goes back to when Kobe, Jerry West famously said, I went to bed that night thinking I was going to trade Kobe to the Bulls. And then Kobe realized the package that was coming in exchange for him and the team he was going to in Chicago, minus those players, was going to be worse than the one he was with at LA. This is before the Pau Gasol trade, of course. So you have to give up talent and assets to get a guy like Giannis, and I don't think Giannis believes he can go be on a contender, and it has to be in the East, or he wants to go deal with that in the West. I think the Bucks can make it interesting and surround him with a few players, and I think Doc's more the problem, and then Dame getting hurt's obviously significant, but I don't think Giannis is getting traded. I really don't. I think he has to request it. Remember, he got a title, so it's different than some of these other stars that have requested trades.
Jaylen Brown on the move?
Well, Brad Stevens is very sneaky, and he's adding all those second-round picks, and then he's adding expiring deals like Simons. So I think my gut tells me he's not going to make a big move. He's going to assess around the trade deadline the recovery of Jason Tatum. And I think if Tatum's coming back, he's going to go all in, maybe make a trade with the expiring deal of Simons. And some of these teams like the Bucks and whatnot may have a situation where they need to run its course or they need to give themselves a few more months. But I think Stevens wants to make a move with that expiring deal and let Simons go shoot a million threes and see what happens. But Brad Stevens, as great of a coach he is as he was, he might even be a better GM. And I'd be very scared trading with him at all if I'm any other sort of executive. Him and Sam Presti would scare me. And I think there's moves left. I just don't know if it's happening in the next week or so.
Okay. I think if something big happens, Utah's going to be involved. They just bought out Clarkson.
Right.
And that trade the other day made no sense. Sexton and a pick for Nurkic.
Ainge has always played the long game, right? He created that atmosphere in Boston where no one's job was safe. It was like a bunch of layoffs every year, and everyone knew that the management saw them as a widget, right? So I think Ainge can't help himself. He's finally getting the pieces, but I don't think he's ready to. I don't think if you're Utah, you're going all in on the West right now. Part of me thinks the reason the Mavericks made the trade with Luka is they thought, why are we going to sign for $350 million when you got the Thunder and the Spurs ready to dominate the West for the next decade? So why would we pay this guy $350 if he doesn't play defense or get in shape? I'm not saying they're punting, but if I'm the Western Conference team outside of San Antonio or OKC, I'm sort of looking at more longer-term future. I just think those two teams are going to be part of the dynasty, so to speak.
So do you think Shams then is trying to sell the programming tonight on ESPN? Because he said earlier today with McAfee, we're going to get some big-time deals done tonight.
I don't know. I think these guys care more about their credibility.
So do I.
Than they do about, ratings, okay? They don't, I don't think ESPN cares about its ratings for the draft. All ESPN cares about is live events, right? Because they pay such a huge nut to get them. And then College Game Day, SVP at Night, First Take, some of these other sort of marquee shows / events. And outside of that, it's all just trying to control the narrative, and social media matters more. YouTube hits matters more just as much as their ratings on a 2 p.m. Eastern Sports Center on ESPN2.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
Well, a couple months ago, they did that Giannis crap, though, where he could be open to leaving. Well, he hasn't requested a trade, so it's not a story.
Right, but that would be insiders trying to, I think the insiders are working their sort of separate, vacuums. And I think they're more professional and care more about their own sort of brand and reputation than they would just to be oversell a ratings for a random show.
Can the Lakers keep Finney Smith and add a center, not name Ayton?
Doesn't look like it, no.
Oh, boy. But you can get Ayton, though.
I think they can get Ayton, but when you get bought out, you can get him on the minimum,
of
right?
Because
he's still getting that money on the buyout.
There you go.
And remember, Ayton was all about, I just want to get that second contract. That was his main goal in life was to get a second.
Yes.
Well, now he can get a third one. Yeah. And so I don't think it's really matters. So if the Lakers want him, right? Does he fit with the lobs and the rim protection and stuff like that? Does he?
Yeah, I think so.
I think honestly, Mark Williams is a better fit.
I would agree.
With the pogo stick kind of ups. Mm-hmm. Ayton now stretches he doesn't clog the middle, which you don't want when you have LeBron and Luka. You need to space it. Mm-hmm. And he can space. As long as his work ethic, clearly something went wrong in Portland. I trust Chauncey Billups. I've always liked Ayton as a starting center, nothing crazy. But you always got to get a little uneasy because money changes people. I always used to joke that I'd be like Eddie Curry too. I don't blame him for going fat when he grabbed $250 million or whatever it was at 18 years old. So very few people have the work ethic and things like that. So when a guy sort of wears out his welcome and stuff like that, you just maybe LeBron can flip him and make him competitive.
Okay. Do you have any interest in betting the Rockets?
No.
Okay. And then
I still don't trust Van Vliet. I still don't trust the team that's maybe starting Jabari Smith. Durant's fragile in terms of his body and ego, for that matter. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he's as much of a difference maker as he once was. Why is it always someone else's fault when things don't work out? Why is it not his fault it didn't work out in Phoenix? Why is it not his fault it didn't work out with Kyrie that he chose to play with? Why did Nash have to go? You know, things like that. At some point, Durant is who we know he is. He's been in the league over 15 years.
Yep.
Drafted in 2007, I believe, so it's 18 years now. And at some point, it's the proof's in the pudding. Yeah, the greatest team ever, 2017 or 17 and 18 Warriors, fine. He won a title there, won an MVP, Finals MVP. We know he's awesome. We know he's a talent, but it's a different animal right now.
Have you bet any futures yet? Conference title,
No.
or do you have a team circled based
I like
on
the
what happened
Cavs.
today?
Honestly, you're getting
Okay.
8.5, 9. I mean, at some point, I mean, they're they were a dominant 1 seed in the East. The other 3 contenders all had stars blow their Achilles.
Yep.
They're going to learn from this experience. They're well coached. I know Garland's hurt, going to be out a little bit, but there's no reason that their path through the East, like, yeah, I think Orlando's better, of course. Who knows with Boston? Who knows with the Knicks? But the Cavs are so legit, and they were really good against the big. I think Mitchell can be like a Dirk-esque run if he can be the best player in a series, even though the guy on the other team, let's say it's SGA, is quote-unquote better and maybe the regular season MVP. I think he can outperform him, and all you need is 3 or 4 games to outperform him in a series.
Shouldn't they have, right now, if they stay healthy next year, that's a big if, but if they do, don't they have like an easy path to get the 1 seed next year?
That's kind of my point.
Yeah.
And what would they be going into the playoffs? 4-1, 3-1. So getting like 7.5, 850 is pretty enticing when all these other teams have giant warts. But I do like the Sixers at a long shot. I know.
Oh, here we go.
I know.
boy.
But I wouldn't bet them regular season division odds, which I've seen plus 750. No. Futures though, only because they'll baby Embiid all year.
And I got to tell you, I like what they did a lot in the draft, too.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. The bench players are good,
Yeah.
right? The guys who got hurt and everything, like Grimes, and they have all these pieces. And if the starters can just like stay healthy, and Edgecombe, to your point, I mean,
And Broom.
yeah,
Right?
he's fine.
Yeah.
So I think if I get duked again by the 76ers, honestly,
I know.
I should just be like put in prison for a weekend. Like Mitch,
But
you
at least it's
can't
Nick,
do this
at least
anymore.
it's Nick Nurse and not Doc. Like I didn't, I'd go. I won't be as embarrassed because Nick Nurse is at the helm.
Yeah. How about $80 million for Harden? This guy gunning a ski mask.
Clippers are the dumbest franchise I've ever.
You think so?
It's inexcusable.
Yeah.
It's inexcusable to pay him. It's a joke. I went through this on my show, actually. I went through like his last 7 playoff games where he just laid eggs, like 11 points, 9 points, 13 points. What more proof? What's the definition of insanity?
Yep.
You want to pay him that? Like, this is why I maintain LeBron and these other guys are underpaid. The max player deal is what ruined the NBA and
Yep.
created super teams. If you had a free market, let's just say it's a $100 million cap, these guys would all make 70. The middle class in the NBA and a lot of leagues makes too much. You should have all the big ones and big fish, and then all the best 15 players would be on 15 different teams because they wouldn't take $2 million less. They would have to be taking $35 million less. So they wouldn't. So they'd all be dispersed evenly across the landscape of the NBA, and guys like Harden would not make that much.
Good.
Like Eric Bledsoe, when owner of the Cavs, Dan Gilbert complained and whined, Bledsoe made as much as LeBron that year because of the max player deal.
Yep. All right, get VSiN's exclusive betting splits for as little as $9.99 for your first month. You can check them out from DraftKings, more public book there, and Circa. They take a lot of sharp action. Get started now at vsin.com/subscribe. More with Doug Kazarian up next. The WNBA's Commissioner Cup is tomorrow night. Lynx and Fever. We'll get into that game and maybe a future or two that Doug likes as well.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Good to have you on board here on a busy Monday. We continue. Doug Kazarian's in studio. Doug Kazarian Sports Network. He launched his own show on YouTube. Do you agree with the market with some of these line moves in the WNBA when key players are out?
No, I think the market's getting tighter. At least the few recent plays I've had will prove that. I don't think they really know the true value of anything. So in general, whether it's Cowboys, Eagles, Sunday night, odds makers want everyone at full strength. They trust their power ratings. They trust the market. It's when there's major injuries, that's when people don't know. Like we've seen when Dak was out a couple years ago and stuff like that. No one knows. No one knows.
I would go to my grave. I would fight people. Let me put it that way. That Aaron Rodgers, the one year that he got hurt, was worth 2 touchdowns to the Packers.
Right.
They
And
were
then
a Super Bowl
certain
contender to
spots-
the worst team in the league.
Yep.
I remember 10 years ago, they said Eli was worth most of the point spread because he never gets hurt, and his backup was like Kafka out of Northwestern.
Okay.
And so it's the delta between them and the backup too, right? But I thought what the Packers did last year after when Love got hurt to go that wing T-bone option thing with Willis or whatever it was incredible. So I don't. So in the W when there's such a top-heavy league and bench players, I mean they're getting better, but it's definitely like a huge drop-off anytime a star is out.
So I'm surprised now, by the way, side note, the league's going to expand to 18 teams in the next handful of years. I look at some of the benches across the league, and I'm like, wow, they have look out here at Las Vegas. They have zero bench.
But the Valkyries were the players that were unprotected. They were all bench players, and they're pretty good now.
But do we have enough players in the league? There's no way.
The quality of play curve is exponential. I think college basketball is better than it was a handful of years ago. So I think the players that they're projecting into the league are going to be better as well. I mean, look, the WNBA, what is this, 25 years or so into the league, maybe 30. But the trickle-down effect is when there's the professional women's basketball league, then kids growing up can now go to camps. And so it's taken a while for the evolution to take place. But, I mean, 10, 15 years ago, players were surprised by a back cut. It was like wide open layups. Now that's not. I mean, there's the feel for the game right now is exponentially better than it was 3 years ago.
It's actually a light week. Busy card yesterday.
Right.
But the game is tomorrow night, the Commissioner's Cup, and then we don't have another card until Thursday. What do you make of the Lynx laying this number to the Fever?
I'm just mad. I was staring at -4 for a few days last week, and I'm just an idiot for not pulling the trigger because it's moved to 6.5 because there's speculation that Caitlin Clark will not play. And if she does, very limited action. And there's really no reason for her to play. I understand there's a $20,000 difference per player, but they're a team that can't mess around. They're in the bottom of the playoff standings. They need to play the long game. This game doesn't count in the regular season. While it's nice to pick up $20K extra, I have a feeling there's a better chance better than 50% chance she sits, and I was not thinking that a couple days ago. I thought when she sat out Thursday last week she was going to play Friday. That's not the case. And it's the left leg, so she had a quad injury a little bit ago on the left side, and then now it's a groin. There's someone who hasn't missed a game since high school, 185 straight games until this sort of recent stretch, so I don't think they're going to mess around. And she was playing poorly before that, right?
She really was.
She was nicked up. So I just don't think that's why I think the line move's coming in. I think someone knows something, so to speak. But
if we get official word, let's say an hour before game time tomorrow, where does the number go?
Up. I'd lay it.
To 8?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a 7 out there. I wouldn't want any part of the Fever. They're just so inconsistent, and that's what the Lynx are. They're super consistent, right? So they can come at you in waves. That second unit to start the second quarter. I think Stephanie White's they've had so many interchanging parts, right? They added Ari McDonald as a backup point guard. Sometimes they run the offense through Kelsey Mitchell, and she can have 5 threes and a half, but then she can also go 1 for 7. I think Sophie Cunningham stinks as an offensive player. She's a liability defensively, and I just don't think they have enough sort of continuity on defense to guard a 5-out offense that the Lynx can run. Now, Minnesota does sort of get in their own way. They're not as obviously Collier's fantastic, and then some of these other players are more like glorified role players, but I still think that the system and the chemistry they have will just get open shots, and I think that's why they would cover.
All right.
You had an interesting tweet about Chicago and what they should do, and I feel good for Angel Reese, the me bounds and all that, and like Mitch said, to her credit, they trademark that, get it. But if she can find something offensively here, and this has been dynamite, 24-16 last night, 17-18, 18-17, 10-19, 17-10. First player to have 4 games in a row with 15-plus boards, but the scoring's been there. What do you think of her props moving forward if they make a trade?
They're throwing 11.5 and 12.5 rebounds for her props, 3.5 assists. She had that by halftime. I don't think anyone can come up with a better sort of comp in the NBA. She's 80% of Ben Wallace, 20% of Mason Plumlee. Okay? She doesn't have the blocks that Wallace has, but she has all the assists, and that's where I think Plumlee, like a 4 who can grab the rebound and just run the break. She's a good basketball player. Everyone focuses on what she doesn't do well instead of what she does well. And she's pretty good. I mean, she's an all-star. She's probably going to start the all-star game this year. I don't understand the hate. I mean, yes, I laughed at the Me Bounds highlights. It's baffling how incompetent she can be around the rim when she's got huge centers guarding her, but why isn't Camila Cardoso catching half the heat she is? She's 6'7". She was the 3rd pick. She stinks. She can't even get up and down the court. She can only play 15, 20 minutes a game. They should trade her. They've gone small ball without her because she's over playing in a Euro tournament, and Angel's still getting all her rebounds, and they're playing well. I think it's a ridiculous the heat she had. Now she brings it on herself. She's more of a celebrity. I get it all, but just because she's talking smack, Garnett used to make up stuff about the opponents just to get him like fired up for like a Wednesday game in January in Charlotte or something. She's just like a trash talker, competitor, all this stuff. But we have no issues when like guys do it. Why can't we have no issues when she's doing it?
So because of this run that she's on, if they price it like 12.5 or below for the rebounds, is it like an auto play right now?
Yes, it is. Jay Billis says effort is a skill. She busts her tail. I mean, we complain about these athletes. When we bet on these NBA games, we care more than the players sometimes during the regular season. Yeah. She's out there on every possession going bananas, and she thinks, they're down their starting point guard. She has no help aside from maybe Ariel Atkins and some shooting here and there, but she's not supposed to be the main offensive weapon. She's just doing it herself, and she's the only one trying hard. Their coach is sort of clueless at times. The franchise has been a disaster, picking horribly. So I feel bad for her in a lot of ways, but I think she's kind of fun to like root for while there's so many haters out there.
Do you have any futures on Phoenix?
Yes, 20-1. Should have grabbed 31. It's now 9-1, 7-1. Oh, by the way, DraftKings is doing Angel offensive rebounds now for every game.
They are.
You can't bet me bounds. But I asked DeVello. He said we did it for the Caitlin Clark game, and there was such interest in the offensive rebounds. Now we just do it for every game. So you can bet on her rebounds and her offensive rebounds. I think she went under by a hook on the offensive rebounds. It was 4.5. I think she only had 4 yesterday.
But regardless, the fact that they're going to put that up, okay.
You should. Right. Yeah. I think Phoenix is loaded. Look, Kalea Copper is one of the most athletic players in the league, if not the most. And she was injured, missed a bunch of the season, and then she joins these two players who are also all-stars / Olympians in Sabally and Alyssa Thomas. And then they have 4 rookies they play. They have a good coach, and they're taking some time. The pieces all fit. They all complement each other. They have the big 3 that they have that they fit and play well with each other because Alyssa Thomas doesn't want to shoot much. They're awesome. I really think they're one of, 4.5 teams that can win it all.
Okay, so that number is now wiped away, right? Because they dominated the Liberty over the weekend, and that was slashed from like 16-1 down to, like you're saying.
Yeah, there's some 750s out there.
I think I saw less than that, actually. So would you still play them like in the exacta markets? Would you play just to meet in the WNBA finals? Would you play Phoenix versus the Liberty?
I would take them over any team right now.
Oh, you would?
If I had to draft like a bracket or whatever, I would draft them first. I don't think the Liberty are that. Now, even if obviously they need Jonquel Jones back, but I don't think they're that good. I think Ionesco thinks she's better than she is. She wants to be flashy. I think Brianna Stewart, for some reason, is not playing as well. Either she's past her prime or whatnot. Jones is really good. And they have depth. And obviously, Cloud's been a great addition, but I really like the Mercury.
Would you say that Minnesota's better than New York?
Probably. I just think Minnesota, when it comes down to pure talent, outside of Collier, they're just not that good.
Really?
Like the individual players. Like McBride's a good shooter. Courtney Williams is fun. Like they're just
but she carries the team.
They don't rebound. She carries and the system, and they all hit threes. But I think in a series, when you're used to facing that offense, kind of like Golden State's offense loses its potency as you play them multiple times in a row, I think Minnesota's like that because they have so many sort of backdoor cuts and slip screens, and it's great to watch, and it's great in the regular season. But I think in the playoff they get stalled a little bit, and Collier's really good. But with that being said, they should have won the title last year.
You mentioned Golden State earlier. We were talking about this during they already went over their win total?
Yes.
They're
Natalie
9-7.
I think the Aces missed her on the bench. How about she should be unanimous coach of the year? It was 7.5. It opened 15.5. One book, I think bet 365, and then everyone bet under. Closed 8.5, and now it's 9. They're 9-7.
Wow. There was a 7-win move.
Yes. Everyone made fun of them for opening 15.5, and they're probably going to go over that. Maybe.
Wow.
9-7.
Yeah.
11-5 ATS.
Yeah.
8-2 ATS at home.
Wow.
Okay.
Awesome
Okay.
crowds.
And one of the 2 losses is a big favorite, but they're great as the home dog.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Thanks for coming in today.
Good to be with you guys,
that.
man.
You can follow him on X. He's at Doug Kazarian, the Doug Kazarian Sports Network, available now on YouTube as well. We'll talk most wins in baseball, month of July. Chris Bennett from here at Circa coming up next. Again, some of these teams play 23 games, others play 26. Tricky month.